Good morning, welcome to 59 Minutes. My name is Levi Konas. It is Monday. We do the Monday roundup today. To join me in doing that is presidential candidate JASIEL NJAU. Karibu sana.
Thank you, sir.
Glad to
Always
have
a
you here.
pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Yeah? Our voices sound better than we were looking like.
Huh? And one thing I must applaud you. One thing I must applaud you is that so far so good.
So far.
You are confident in mentioning me as a presidential candidate. It's not the way we began.
It's not the...
So for those who are new, please understand this has been a journey of faith, and my co-host has actually gotten to that place. He sees the possibility.
Yeah.
And so do you.
There is a lot to cover today in terms of what's been happening. But let me just start by asking you one question.
Yeah.
What has struck you over this weekend in terms of just the political happenings or not? Because for me, what struck me was this guy. And he, deserves to be at the front page. That in spite of all the things that are happening, Eliud Kipchoge is giving us a reason to smile. You?
Reversed roles. Reversed roles.
What reversed roles?
Before it was Baba, now it is Ruto.
The US thing. We're going to start with that one. I've just asked you, away from all those things, what has struck you?
It's difficult. It's difficult. But I don't know. It's difficult to be away from these things. But yeah,
that can be the thing you go for, honestly.
Okay. We are getting to that, right?
Yes, we are getting to that.
First and foremost, we would like to send our condolence to the daughter who died of the man of God.
Oh yes, of Reverend Bandu. Polifana is actually a personal friend.
Oh.
Yeah. And I knew her very well. Yes.
Yeah, so with that, it brought about the question of when you look at Outer Ring Road, has the highest percentage of road accidents vis-a-vis, I think they say Westland. So for me, and that death, it just brought that thing to that sober moment of we need to take care of, not only for us but the rest. There used to be an adage that usually was spoken of, and people used to say, when you're driving, just realize you're the only sane driver, everyone else is mad. But even for those others, they should also realize that others also deserve the gift of life. So for me, that was a very...
That's what struck me the most.
Yeah.
That's good, because that's on our to-do list today. It's the issue of roads, because there was a list that came out. We'll be talking about that just a bit later in terms of the 22 most dangerous roads in Nairobi.
Yeah.
And it's surprising that we can... But anyway, let me not jump ahead of myself. Let's go to the US story, since I've already alluded to that one.
Thank you.
Deputy President William Ruto is in the United States. For those of you who are not aware about that, and some pictures over there, you can see him arriving to what some people said was a low-key arrival. They said, if you look at the pictures, like that one, for example, that he was coming in through the main terminal, na wakubwa wanapitanga huko kwa tarmac, sijui nini. But okay, neither here nor there. There are some accusations. Of course, he's accompanied by Musalia Mudavadi, as well as some other members of his entourage, people like Susan Kiika with him, people like Alice Wahome are with him, David Ndii is there, he's also with him, and there are some undertones about it. There are people saying, he's having low-key events, meeting Kenyans. He met the governor for Nebraska, and some guys said it was not a very big deal.
He said he was in White House.
He said he was in White House.
He wasn't in White House.
But that's Hussein Mohammed who tweeted that. It wasn't the...
Your chief strategist communication. Excuse me. That guy
who sent out a tweet.
Walks out in your office.
Alluding. I think he was creating the impression. He didn't outrightly say... No, but he was creating the impression that he was at the White... He was arriving at the White House. And, that also became a fiasco. And right now, he's just arrived in the UK, by the way, the DP.
Yes.
And we'll come to what he said when he was there. But just in terms of that trip, what do you think?
Vindu viche njanga.
You said that like our brothers from Western.
Because they'll be voting for me. Thank you very much. Vindu viche njanga. The question is, does democracy only work when it is working for you? For the DP, and I told you, and I'll repeat it, I've opined here severally.
Yes.
This year, there are only 3 presidential candidates. DP William Ruto, Baba, and JASIEL NJAU. The rest are others. And I'm coming. When the DP starts shouting, rigging, starts crying, you know, I looked at that clip and I said, man, even the Raila is gonna behave kitambo. Sasa ni DP ameanza kutoka huko nje anasema tunaibiwa tuangalieni. And then I loved one statement he said the opposition leader has become a puppet of the government and the leader of the party has become a refugee in the opposition party. Boss.
Yeah.
The political undertones he's creating outside there, the perception. I am the
But do you think it sends a strange signal in the sense that, you know, for the Americans and the Western world at large, if you have a problem with, if you and I are president and running mates, you know, and we are then confirmed as president and deputy, in the Western world, usually what happens is if I'm your deputy and I am not agreeing with your policies, I would leave on principle. And then I would attack you not as your deputy, but as a guy who used to be your deputy, who disagreed with your principles, who now is saying, you know, this guy, Vilanenda, sipendi. That is what they do out there. Do you think they find it strange that, you know, they have a deputy president who is outside the country, who is talking about a government that he is still deputy president of, you know, and the defense of the same government is coming from people who used to be previously opposition, who now say, hiyo maneno anasema hiyo sio ya ukweli.
I think
because the greatest defense is coming from Azimio la Umoja.
I think political science.
I mean, what does it say about us?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Political science needs to redefine itself to democracy in Africa and democracy in the West. There is no way, even me, I'm telling you the truth, should I become deputy president to William Ruto, nitamsumbua tusipoagree. Na sitatoka, nitakaa ndani. Because in Africa, if I'm out of power, they will deal with me perpendicularly. But in America, you get the sympathy. You step down.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. That is a leader. In Africa, you will go into political oblivion. Utafinywa. Before hata uamke tena hakuna mtu anajua jina yako. So for me, looking at the DP William Ruto, democracy, adapt it, but localize it in Kenya. So for the DP, the way he handled himself, he's actually the opposition leader within the party that voted him in, and at the same time, he's actually shouting to become the next president. It's a quagmire.
What about what he said? You know, he talked about election fraud. You know, and said, you know, in fact, some people here have suggested, you know, that he should come back and talk to the IEBC, the way Sabina Chege was summoned, and he said, you know, that's fine, we can do that. But here he was talking about election fraud out there. Do you think is it believable? Because, you know, just a few months ago, we had the deputy president talking and saying it doesn't matter. Wekeni hata Oburu Odinga, akue IEBC chair. We will take this thing early in the morning. Weka hata ndugu yako hapo. What has changed?
Champez ameenda kulia majuvu. Few months ago alikuwa Champez, yeye ndio Champez. Fanyeni vile mtafanya. Wewe Raila Odinga, wacha kujificha nyuma ya Uhuru Kenyatta, ingia uwanja. Alafu sahi umeenda international, election rigging, election malpractice.
That's what we accused, you know, same guys accused Raila of doing back in 2017. So the question is this: is there a script we have for Kenyan politicians when they are abroad, and another one for back home, that they all seem to kind of follow? You know,
except for JASIEL NJAU. Except for JASIEL NJAU. One, because they have no vision for this country, where this country needs to head. Now reverse roles are happening. I have a very clear vision, and I told you, I will say it when I launch the party. I will not say it now, because if I say it, they will run with it. I will say it then. Because if you're going for the international community tour, now you see Baba has said, after Ruto comes, he's going. Why? What is he going to do? He's going to show you guys realize that I've been fighting for this democracy. Wait, that's what you'll hear. I've been fighting for this democracy. You know my track record. The DP was actually going to vindicate himself and show himself as the guy who needs help from the international community, so that you can validate. Should William Ruto not declare the winner, the international community can rally and say, this guy, the election has been stolen. And I asked, and I said it when we began the show, does democracy only work for you? Because the DP said in 2017, 6 million people will vote for us. Sindio alisema? Ilitokea 6 million, nikasema, me God, add my faith. Ujamana faith. Anajua ni 6M na inatoka 6M. So sahi unarudi unatuambia unaibiwa. Nini imechange? Nini imechange? So for me, the political class need to get to a place whereby if you, and that's why I don't like, forgive me because I'm only analyzing my opponents who are too. DP, you're shooting yourself.
You know, I've interviewed people here who I have asked previously whether they have confidence in the IBC. They have said yes all the time, all the time. Yes. We've had confidence in the IBC. IBC has done by-elections. UDA even has got a member of parliament now, courtesy of an IBC by-election. That's been fine. There was a by-election in Kibra, and there was a big showing by UDA in Kibra, almost to the point of clinching the seat. That was fine. You know, there've been by-elections around the coast. When we start talking about this issue of deception, what kind of ground are we planting now going forward in terms of acceptance of results? Because usually what we see is what happens the other side. Raila Odinga complains about the elections, says it's going to be rigged. Then we go to elections, and then he says, I can't accept the results. They were rigged. And I had been saying so. Yeah? Are we finding ourselves in a similar path with different players? So that come August 10th, somebody will say, you know what, those results, they have been rigged. And the other thing is this: why is the assumption on our leaders? Every leader has got the assumption that they cannot possibly lose.
I come back to the question again. Let me also add on to your question. Can William Ruto accept that Baba has won? And can Baba, in the same juxtaposition, accept William Ruto has won?
The honest answer right now is no.
Thank you.
But it goes both ways.
Yes, it's both ways. I love your arguments because you're very open and honest. It goes both ways. None of them will accept. So what happens?
That's the question we ask ourselves.
What happens? And the answer is, JASIEL and NJAU comes in the middle. I'm telling you.
I need to move because to another. I can't believe. Wait. Tumetembea vizuri to end up there.
What alikwambia? God, in his own foreknowledge, sees and says, if I do not lift my son, my servant, to tilt the scale of this country, there is no way those two will accept. And here's the possibility that the audience need to understand. If that doesn't happen, those two, if they don't relent power, we're going to have a northern Kenya and a southern Kenya with both presidents running and dividing the country, because both of them, none will agree. So God in his full mercies and he sees and says, I need to lift up my servant, my son whom I have prepared. I told you my name is JASIEL, made of God. So I've been prepared for this hour to come and say, listen guys, let me show you how this thing is going to go. If that's not the case, those two won't agree. And God has to favor us. And that's why we are coming in. By July, we will know.
Okay. By July, we will know. There was a clip that caught my eye, just as I switch gears here, of a bishop. The bishop of Christ is the Answer.
Callisto Odede.
Yeah?
Let's say like American Odede.
Yes. The guy really made a lot of us smile. And here's why.
Because there is an individual who does not accept election results once they are announced by IEBC. Thank you very much, Senator. As I mentioned a little earlier on, that as a church, we try to minister to people from different political parties without creating any sense of animosity. And in a function like this, which is in our church, we try to maintain that attitude, that everything else comes, whether you are UDA, whether you are ODM, whether you are Jubilee, whether you are welcome here. And you need to feel comfortable here that no one is alienating you and no one is actually saying some things that are negative that would ostracize anyone. So, Mheshimiwa, I don't know whether we need to let you go on or
yes,
provided.
Yes. Sorry, I'm sorry. These things at times can be very emotional, and I'm sorry, and I apologize profusely to the church. Yeah, but please understand me. I am sorry. I am really sorry, Bishop, if I've gone beyond.
Yeah, Pastor ongea sasa.
Bwana asifiwe. Sema amen. Bwana asifiwe. Now, as a political preacher,
yes.
As a political preacher, I must applaud the bishop. You know why? Because we entered into a situation where we prostitutionalized the altar of God to the point that God, we turned our face and allowed another God to operate in the altar. And I'll explain. In the days of President Moi would attend church. And if there was anything to be addressed politically, angesemaje tupatane pale nje. In our days, we espouse that we are coming to church to talk about God. But in the same manner, we do not talk about God, but we prostitutionalize, politicize the altar of God with politics. Now, what Bishop Callisto Odede did, he needs to be applauded and the church needs to back him. Because as JASIEL NJAU, when I hit the campaign trail and I come to your church, you will hear it from me. If I'm coming to your church with my group, I'm either coming to preach the word of God or sit down. But this issue of you bringing politics to the altar, let people know that there is a God who knows whether it's William Ruto, JASIEL NJAU or Raila Odinga. So for me, I applaud him for what he has done. He should continue that way. Even for me, when I come to your church and I'm coming as a presidential candidate and I preach the word of God, hapo sawa. But if I bring politics into the altar where I'm attacking my opponents, this is where I attack them, not in the altar of God. That's a very different thing.
Yeah. We have got so many pastors who don't see it that way.
They don't.
It's supposed to be a straightforward thing. You know, it's amazing that we are clapping for something that should be straightforward. It's like one of those things I always ask myself, where did morality go? You know how you ask someone for directions nowadays and then they ask you for money? And then if you find somebody who doesn't ask you for money, if you find a security guard who tells you where to park your car and doesn't ask you for money, you think, oh my goodness, he's such a nice person. Yet that is what it is supposed to be. If you go to a government office and you do not, and you get the services that you require without anyone asking you for kitu kidogo, you know? Or if you are happens a lot to politicians and the media, for example. If you get good political, if you get media coverage and no one asks you for money, you then say it's a breath of fresh air. Yet it's supposed to be the norm.
Common sense is not common.
You know, we're applauding the bishop for something we should not be applauding him for. It's something we should be expecting. What does that say about our society?
The corruption for me within the altar, we are, and that's why I use the word prostitutionalized, whereby greed has taken over instead of servants of God sticking to the mandate. All right, so it become monetary, to the point you can't speak and address because you've been bought. You're God, you do not have a backbone. So the normalcy which we are advocating for Callisto, the bishop, and applauding him for what he's doing is because those days were gone. And to me, it's a light of hope at the end of the tunnel that we are going back to the way things were supposed to be. You understand? So we applaud him because finally we are getting back to the days of Bishop Murage. Finally, we are getting back to the days where men of God would stand in the altar and say, no, don't do this. All right? And for that matter, then the current bishops or the current servants who are there, if you cannot address, even for me as a politician, I come, and you cannot speak the word of God right directly to me. I was with a bishop in one of the, where I told you Christians, our altar is Heaven's Gate. When others go to other altars, as political leaders, Christians, we go to Heaven's Gate. And that guy told me one of the two presidential contenders, one of the two, my opponents, went to church. And the guy was told by God to preach on the message, which the scripture was, do not lose your soul.
What shall it profit?
What shall it profit?
A man.
When you gain the whole world and lose your soul. As he was ministering, one of my opponents started tearing, wiping his eyes, right? And see, we say they go to church. So at the end of the service, the guy...
And it was not an allergic reaction.
It was... Levi. It was not an allergic reaction.
Okay.
Because at the end of the service...
I'm following this story.
At the end of the service, the guy came and said, Pastor, the word you have spoken has reminded me of my walk with God. All right? And so this minister, I'm sitting to him and he says, do you know the psychological torture I was having to change the message? Because this guy has come to my church and I'm not prepared, and this is the word God has spoken. You understand? This is the word, and this guy walks in. So you're wondering, should I change and say the Lord is with you, or should I preach? And this guy said after that, the candidate calls him for prayer so that he can feel the calling of God back over his life. And for that matter, I told you this election.
Yeah, and that's...
on that matter, I told you this election of the three, there is no horses this year. It is Saul, Goliath, and David. And I am David.
So
on that front,
on that election issue,
my candidate and the rest,
on that election
Lord
issue,
is still with us.
Kalonzo Musyoka says it's a three-legged stool.
Sasa maliza.
Azimio, bottom up or Kenya Kwanza, and Oka. In fact, I think we've got some pictures of Oka there. Let's see the Oka guys so that we can be talking about them when we can look at them. Yeah? So, One Kenya Alliance was supposed to sign a pact, and they have put it that they'll sign a pact before the end of March. They seem to be going in the direction of they will now have a presidential candidate who is most likely going to be Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. Unasema Azimio, it looks like they're not headed there. There's been the push and pull. You know, some people have said, you know...
Si push and pull ni watermelon. Hakuna push and pull. Ni watermelon. Niko hapa, niko pale. Sasa hata hiyo stool na shindo kama itakuwa 3 ama 4.
Ni push and pull. Sijui kama
itakuwa kama 3 ama 4. Juu mara
wapi hizo picha zetu za Oka madam?
Uko hapa kule hatuelewi. Push and pull ni baba na kuita, unakataa. Sawa? Hii hakuna baba hata amekaa tu wewe unasema no me hii hakuna push and pull. Ni tunaona watermelon tena vizuri.
So One Kenya Alliance are supposed to be meeting this particular week to come up with a plan to see not to come up with a plan. They already have a structure in place. They are supposed to be signing their structure. They have Martha Karua there, they've got Gidi, they've got Chirongo, they've got Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. They seem to have Moses Kuria. I don't know how that's going, but I've heard Moses Kuria has gone this aside. And meanwhile, over the weekend as well, Mukisa Kitui folded his presidential candidature to join Azimio. So
I told you the prophecy, it's working.
Now, let me tell you something. This One Kenya Alliance, do you see it as the formidable third force that you keep saying you are? are you in danger? Because if these guys run to the end,
Am I in danger?
yes, if they are running to the end and they have Kalonzo as their presidential candidate, the first person they are knocking out is you, Jasiel. Mambo yako inaishia hapo.
Haya, sasa huyu jamaa anaitwa nani? Steven Kalonzo Musyoka, former VP. Much respect. Siasa ni tricky, brother. Siasa ni tricky. Mimi hata before nianze safari nishaomba, Mungu amenionyesha vile hii game inaenda, sitatingizika, kwa mwendo wa aste aste tunavuka hii sakafu. Unashika huyu ndugu yangu huyu, na nilikwambia watatu kuja watuongezizi watatu, hatujui yuko wapi. Mara uko hapa, mara uko hapa, mara sijui umeenda Jubilee, mara umeenda. Hiyo yake hakuna hata 3-legged stool. Hapana, hiyo yake hata ni 4. Na zote mbili ni zake. Unajua kuna,
Do you think he's running to the end?
Anafika mwisho. Na nakwambia, nilikwambia hapa, anafika mwisho. And let me tell you, Raila is not taking a hoot for him. Why? Because he has Charity Ngilu, he has Kifuta Kibwana, he has Alfred Mutua, right? So he actually has these guys on his side. So Kalonzo has no clout to say that these guys are with him. If the three were behind Kalonzo, he would be a force to reckon with him in Eastern.
So you're saying Kalonzo's got the bones, but Raila's got the meat.
Exactly.
My name is Levi Kones. We're here with JASIEL JAU, my co-host, aka the presidential candidates of I don't know which party, but seems to be running.
Coming soon.
Coming soon, huh?
Keep your ears on the ground.
All right.
Yeah.
JASIEL.
Yes.
So we are moving on swiftly. We've been talking about many things this morning, trying to cover the ground. One of the things we need to talk about is the Kenya Revenue Authority. Now, KRA, of course, have been driving a lot of jitters and fears down there, the thoughts of wananchi, to the point where people are afraid of even posting that they are on vacation just in case KRA comes a-calling. The latest victim of KRA is Keroche Industries, who is said to be owing KRA about 330 million shillings in taxes. Now, they got shut down and there was a hue and cry. Of course, it's now quite open that Tabitha Karanja is vying for a Senate seat in Nakuru on the party UDA. There are those who say that it was political. You think so?
You want me to give you a political answer or the honest truth?
The straightforward answer.
The honest truth. There are people who have vested interest in her business because it was coming as the top contender for alcohol brew in Kenya, and it has no shares from anyone from outside. So in an effort to get into it, she denied, she refused, she went through court battles. Now, to add salt to injury, she now wants to stand because she has realized for me to penetrate business, I need to have political power. All right? And she went and announced, and she's standing with UDA. Now she has complicated everything for herself. So her opponents, and trust me, are going to finish her on this point. And they are going to get to that business, the alcohol business, knowing she's out of it.
In fact, it's my fault. I've said 330 million. I meant a 9.1 billion tax dispute.
Ngoja one. By August, wata make sure wamefunga hiyo kampuni, and atapata masi after August, and God, whoever will be in office, she will now try to plead mercy with them. On the other side, let me flip this thing. On the other side, kuna wanawake wengi wamelia. Hii pombe imeharibu jamii zao. Ndio kuna biashara nyingine unaingianga, ikileta kilio ingine, kuna mahali hesabu zinakujanga is equals to. Could this be an is equal to factor?
But would be the easy answer be shut down? I mean, people owe KRA. It does not seem like the company has refused.
She has asked for mercy.
Its capability. She said, "Give me 1 year."
Yeah, she says
I've got 2 billion liters of
And 250 employees.
Yes, she has 250 employees. And she says she's got 2 million liters of beer, worth 512 million shillings in storage.
Yeah.
Which will require 30 billion shillings to maintain for the next year or so. So she has got stock, she's got staff, she's got equipment, which if lies idle can cause a problem. Surely, is this the way we want to deal with a Kenyan entrepreneur, regardless of their political affiliation, in terms of how going forward, what we do as a country? And they silence, by the way, from there are some issues that are not supposed to be silent.
Let me rewind.
Because today is Kiare, tomorrow is me.
Let me rewind.
Look with you.
Let me rewind. I think in the late 80s, Kenya breweries was shutting down. Sindio?
Yeah.
Kenya breweries were shutting down. The VP, Vice President then Kibaki, they went and they negotiated for a deal. All right? And Kibaki with his friends and the rest, you can check out on Google. They came and pumped in cash to KBL. All right? And from that point, any bottle ili nafunguliwanga hivi ya Tusker, Mwai Kibaki has a shilling. Former president has a shilling, and the others who have. This issue of her is political. Now, I love KBL. KBL then walisema aje? Baada ya kazi burudika ni wakati wa Tusker baada ya kazi. So the moral...
that's an ad.
It's an ad.
Which you haven't paid for.
No, it's not now. That was then.
No,
that was then. That was then. Hata Kerocha tunaongelea. So ni ad. Kerocha pia ni ad tunawapatia hapa. So what's account nataja Kerocha wacha tumie KBL.
Just warning you. That's the
for me as president Madam Kerocha kuja kuniona na mshu hakuna shida. Hii kitu tunaweza itatua. Lakini to make sure we don't let the people go home, the 250 employees. And because you have worked so much, because if we espouse that we are helping the bottom up, we are helping the small scale business enterprises, why are we fighting people who have broken the ceiling? They are now competing with international brands in Kenya. So for me, because I have to be honest, I'm not going to be a president of only Christians. Pia watu wa sherehe wako involved. So getting Tabitha on board is telling her, listen, we will support you. I agree to her stand of module operandi of how she's going to pay. But this thing, I'm telling you, is political because there's no one who has shares in her company, Kenyan, and of the political class except her.
I'm almost inclined, actually, to agree that yes.
You remember the guy Ule Watika?
Yes, there's no here that means we could do better.
Unaona Ule Watika? Vile alifuatwa, sijui mpaka alikuwa ametumwa ma DCI, sijui na nani. Then mwisho akaambo wewe kubali tu hii kitu. Ulisikia story yake tena? Silisha. Sasa the worst thing she has done, you shouldn't have announced that you're going to order. You could have said independent candidate. Hakuna shida. The day she announced order is the day hell broke loose.
So angecheza na serikali.
Angecheza independent, alafu last minute aingie order. So umekuja mapema umeannounce. Wewe uone sahi kila mtu wa order ni hapa. Hujaona hiyo?
Sasa lakini hata wewe let me ask you.
Ask me.
But if you see these are not taxes from the blue, she owes taxes. I don't think that's so if she was paying taxes angekuwa anagongwa na nini?
So na hao wengine wa UDA wanagongwa kwa nini?
There must be a reason why.
Exactly.
Look, my brother.
What is the reason? What is the reason? No, be honest. Vile umekuwa ukisema be honest. Be honest.
Yeah,
what is the reason?
If I'm looking for something to pin you on, let's say I'm looking for something to say that JASIEL owes an amount of money to
So utakuja watu wangu wote, si ndio?
I won't just come and make it up. The argument here isn't that it's being made up. Most of those people who are being caught for issues, it's like, what do they say? People in glass houses don't throw stones.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
There you are throwing,
okay, let me ask
but you've got something that you could be.
Waiguru, are we throwing glass stones, glass mawe nini? Hiyo kizungu yako. Waiguru, are we throwing?
I don't know. She's not been convicted in a court of law.
Gachagua, are we throwing?
Not convicted in a court of law.
Kerecha, are we throwing?
No.
Not convicted in a court of law.
Not convicted.
So all these guys,
so how can
not
you,
convicted in a court of law, to say hivyo, but they are all in one side. So they are all in one side. All the way up, not convicted in a court of law. So that's what I'm saying. If she was a wise businesswoman, that was the wrong time to announce politically, because then they were going for her taxes.
Okay.
Now they are going for her politically.
Let's see what happens. We could do better though. It's sad.
No, she can change. She can join. She can join my party.
Yeah. I want to show a picture of
she can join my party. We'll defend her.
Yeah. So now in France there is something called the Leaning Tower of Pisa. It is a tourist attraction. It's a tower that was built so many years ago. I think it was 1491 or something, and after a while it leaned kidogo, squeezy, watu wanaenda kuiangalia. Over the weekend we got another one right here in Nairobi. Our own Leaning Tower of Pisa. It looked something like this. Let's see that. But we don't have it there.
Okay.
We don't have it. Got a picture of a building leaning on another building. I think we have it there. There we go. There we go. There's a Leaning Tower. There's our tourist attraction right here. So apparently...
Respect our engineers.
Yes.
Why they have built it that way.
Really respect our engineers. Let me just say something about that building. This building, from what is now in the public domain, is that this building has been built in a place called Muthiga. 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 And not only has it been built in Muthiga, in Kino. It was a building under construction, still going up. The approval from the NMS, or the county approval, was for it to be a 4-story building. However, it was well over 5 floors by the time it was leaning. Now, residents on the next building, which is some apartments, were busy falling asleep, taking it easy, 1 o'clock at night, when suddenly they had something they thought was an earthquake. Only to look out and see, imagine you're in your house, and you step out of your house, and there's a building leaning on your house. Yeah? So they've had to run away from it, they've had to evacuate themselves, they've had to remove their belongings, they're too scared to go in because they're imagining that, right now, it's unstable, So both the buildings, one of them will have to be torn down. I don't see how it's going to be torn down without affecting the other, considering it's leaning. It means it's a hot mess.
I actually thought our Kenyan engineers were copying that country.
You did, eh?
Yeah, I thought.
But our building is
so.
now a picture of corruption. What corruption can do.
Why? Because they built 5 instead of 4.
Yeah. So, you hapa Kenya, people always say that you take your building plans. There are places, there are estates even. They're not supposed to have high-rise buildings or somebody takes a plan. But a plan is approved. Utajenga vile utajenga. Usually, the person coming to check on the ground may not even show up, or you could pay him some money, they could disappear. You could get a QS to write whatever they want to write in terms of what has been put up in that building. People are getting away with this stuff all the time. Small wonder we've got issues where we have people who end up in collapsed buildings, and then we hear, ilikuwa approved. How many times have we had that?
This is why the JASIEL government...
How many times?
It's true. I agree with you. That's why my government, corruption will not be an issue to be taken lightly. Because this act can cause death, and we need those guys to be alive to pay taxes.
Because we are talking about the owner, but somebody approved it. Somebody was supposed to be checking it. With every floor you go, it's supposed to undergo checks and balances.
Yeah.
Somebody is supposed to approve the material that's being used in the building. Even the plan was approved, and then somebody is supposed to ensure that the plan is being executed according to what it was designed.
Unajua unaongea na unani kama ile kiti ya foreign affairs.
Watu wanaongea kuhusu on our building, like this thing goes further than the owner of the building.
Unaongea na una kama ni kutoe foreign affairs ni kurudishe local. Because mimi nilikuwa nimekupatia kiti ya foreign affairs, lakini vile una address na kama as I think I missed it. Wewe unaweza streamline huku hii industry.
No, it's just looking at it from a layman's perspective.
That is not lay. You have so much passion to defend these people.
It's very bad because you know it's very bad for you to sleep at night and then suddenly something is leaning on your house. What if you took that house down? Can you imagine the amount of sheer human
the hue and cry,
sheer human, how do you call it? The human disaster or the human costs that would have taken place had the building gone down. The one next to it, the one that was occupied by people. On the considering the average household has got between 5 and 15 people who sleep in it at night. You know, and this is 1 a.m. This thing needs to be taken with the seriousness it deserves.
But that's why tonight we are sitting down with my people. We need to reconsider your
and not just this one.
You see, I like it. Uko na facts, uko na passion hii kitu Levi.
Hii Nairobi by the way ukiona mabilioni zingine. Hata trema tu kidogo.
Unajua uzuri wa candidate yangu, sina watu wengi wa kuingia nao serikali. So nenda nikiwachukua hivi. So nimeona kitu ndani.
It's an appalling thing. Ujaingia building unapanda stairs moja iko high hivi, ile nyingine iko hapa. How can you have two steps that don't even follow each other? You can trip on one going on another.
As they don't consider also the
kuna ingine I almost named another building in Eldoret town. Kuna ingine down right in the center of town. Ukipanda hizo stairs.
Mpaka unajua mpaka Eldoret.
Yes.
We need to work with you. We need to work with you. Sijute ka NMS ya national.
Let's talk about KCPE. Our kids are doing KCPE.
Yes.
To all the children that are doing KCPE this morning, we wish you the very best. We hope it shall be well. Exams are not everything. There is more to life than just passing exams. So just do your best and
leave the rest to God.
To God, but you know, these are the first guys doing the exams post-COVID. These ones were supposed to do these exams last year. Of course, there was that class of last year, but this one's really waited for a long time. And this year we are having 2 KCPEs, 2 KCSEs.
2 presidential candidates. They are not 3, they are 2.
In the year of 2022.
2022, double for your trouble.
We are having that story. There are arguments that, you know, the candidates that are doing wamesukuma sana in such a short time to cover so much to catch up with the calendar. Some experts are saying they should have been tested where they were. Like if you reach class 7, to test you at class 7, and you know you go catch up. And it's neither here nor there. I don't know, but we wait to see.
Yeah.
Next comes marking, and then you know a big problem is looping. When we talk about KCPE, we have to talk about CBC. Because this year there's going to be that CBC exam year, standard 4. Now your exam is supposed to take kids to junior high. So that class 5, 6, 7, 8 are in
senior.
Are in junior high. I'm in class 5, I'm in 6, 7, 8. One of those ones goes to junior high. And there are talks by educational experts that those people need to be absorbed in high schools. Yet, when we do KCPE, we have a 100% transition rate na tuko na shida ya kutransit au watu wote into high schools already.
On that note, Magoa alisemaje juzi? Magoa alisemaje juzi?
Because he has said many things.
Atheist president.
Atheist.
He told we should stop prayers in school.
Yes.
Magoa alimwambiaje go to hell.
Alimwambia.
So kwa hiyo maneno maombi ibaki tu hapo.
Unataka kusikia hii maneno mengine ya education.
No, see when still in education matters. Magoa alisema. So yes, I agree. The way now last time we addressed here and it told you about CBC and how it works, and as a country we need to transition. We looked at CPE to KCPE and the transition dynamics. And we say that's okay, I have no problem. But I'm just sensitizing it and adding.
Kenya Kwanza says they'll scrap it.
Kwanza hapo sasa ndio ningetaka tuingie uwanja tuongee kitu. Scrap kwa nini? Scrap kwa nini?
They say that if they come in, they'll scrap it.
That's not a political move. You can't stop an idea whose time has come. You can't.
You know, I agree with you 100%.
You can't.
I don't even think scrapping is a solution. I also have a CBC student. A CBC has got its kinks. But we have to find a way to work it out.
Yeah.
Because if we scrap it, and then take us back to 844 system ya kukram, system yenye, you know, one of the worst things about 844 is you are either good in sciences and maths for you to become somebody in life. So all people are aspiring to be doctors, lawyers, they're aspiring to pilots, nini. Tumeacha, no wonder it is difficult to get a good fundi nowadays. Because, you know, the ones that are really skilled are so few that when you're looking for a fundi, you will have to look, you'll call JASIEL. Unajua fundi mpoa viatu, akupatie link. Because the skilled ones will now rise to the top and there are a few. Yet we need so many skilled people like that.
That's where I applaud.
And CBC is very good in bringing that out.
Even with the technical universities
yes,
that have come up, we are now getting to that point where not everyone is skilled in terms of you're not thumbed to grasp things by you have to become an A. I love even the way they're removing the numbers. Now it's just grading.
Yeah, not everyone is book smart, they say.
Not everyone is book smart, right?
Yeah.
So now you're taking us back to KCPE mali tumetoka ati you will scrap. As who? And where is JASIEL and NJAU? You can't. And that's why people like Magoha, they need to be empowered so that when other atheists stand up, they are told, go to hell.
We need to end. But we have to talk about roads. We have to talk about roads. I've got a list of the 22 most dangerous roads in
we are done.
In Nairobi.
We're just warming up. Okay.
Nikusomee hii list ya 22 most dangerous roads in Nairobi.
Najua outer ring ndio ya kwanza. Outer ring ndio ya kwanza.
I can't remember it off it, so I have to find it over here.
Yeah.
Most dangerous roads.
As you're finding those roads
in Nairobi.
It's good to just let the people find me as your presidential candidate. I'm not far off. I'm here.
I found the lists. Number 1 is Waiyaki Way.
See outer ring?
No, sorry, outer ring.
Exactly.
44 deaths this year alone.
Imagine. 44 in 2 months.
Outer ring is my way home. There are accidents there, quite a bit. I didn't know they were so fatal in such a... Now, outer ring is running on just from Allsops to the end here near the Eastern Bypass. Most of those fatalities, I can assure you, are pedestrians.
I saw a clip of this dashboard cams on one of the cars.
Yeah.
They are crossing before the footbridge. I
can tell you. They're crossing under it.
Yeah.
Most of the deaths on Outer Ring Road are pedestrian deaths. Every day you see somebody, bridge doi hapa juu, jamaa kwa hapa chini.
Anaona hii ni mbali.
Anaona hii ni mbali, anavuka. Not knowing what the speed guys are moving at. Waiyaki Way is the second one.
The other reason for speeding is also, remember when we addressed it, one of the episodes, we said Kenyans don't know limit. Kiwaambia wakunywa, wanakunywa nyingi. Mmetengeneza barabara ya highway, hawajui brakes.
Tuchome. Hawajui brakes.
Hawajui brakes.
Waiyaki Way is second with 38 fatalities, and I know Waiyaki Way, one of the problems it's having is construction, which is also happening in Mombasa Road, because Mombasa Road is the next, and the Northern Bypass is after that, and Southern Bypass. And the issue with construction is one, we've got contractors who are putting up things with no good marking. Have you ever seen a car tu imeingia tu kwa ditch tu, ama unaona mawe yenye ilikuwa jana barabara ilikuwa na lane 4, leo iko na mawe.
Leo Levi nimeona side yako sijaiona. Uko passionate sana na hizi construction vitu. Si building imelala, si barabara.
I get very concerned when people do things that will hurt other people.
Please.
And then they leave it there.
That's why I'm saying nikikutoa foreign affairs usikasirike. Wacha nikurudishe hapa. By next episode
nitakuwa nimepata. Kwanza Ngong Road, you know, like you mentioned earlier when we were beginning, about the death of the pastor's daughter, my friend. Yeah. I've known that family since I was a child, and the reason why this accident happened, okay, you could call whatever other factors you want to call, but at that bridge there are 4 lanes leading to the bridge, then suddenly they become 2. So lane ya huku mwisho inaendelea hata ikuwa na bumps, but inaendelea wapi? Kwa shimo. Lane ya huku pia the other side inaelea hapo kwa shimo. If you're driving on Ngong Road now, it's a nightmare. Where suddenly the road, I don't know who decided that road has to have 100 curves. In a curve, pavement kanatokea. It used to be straight. The contractor came for some reason. I think maybe he thought if we have some curves, it wouldn't be boring. But it has endangered us. And that's happening everywhere. So when you have, that road is number 9 in deaths, there's Thika Road, there's Jogo Road, there's Juja Road, Lunga, Airport North. Yani kuna shida tu kila mahali in terms of, we really ask God for mercies in helping us to walk around. How about tuko transport, hata si construction?
Hiyo yote iko tu hapo mahali wanajenga levya na uchungu. Mahali popote kuna jengo hiki Kenya.
Wacha vile JASIEL, unaweza ambia watu nini by the way?
Ladies and gentlemen, as you've heard, my name is JASIEL NJAU, presidential candidate 2022. My other opponents are Deputy President William Ruto and the former Premier Raila Amolo Odinga. You ask me why I'm running for this office. 1, it's not just a desire, it's a calling. 2, I have a mission and a mandate for the sake of the soul of this nation and to redirect the course of where we are heading to. 3, I have a vision. I can't say it now. I'm waiting for my opponents to finish fast. Then I come launch my party. And maybe then you will understand why we need to input fresh blood into the political scene of this country. Mambo mapya, mambo fresh. Keep it here. We are coming soon.
Wacha tuniseme have a good day because hii mambo ya JASIEL inanishinda. That's the Monday roundup. It's 59 minutes. See you next Monday, God willing, and have a lovely, lovely week out there. And use the pedestrian bridges. Be safe. Good day.